Alright guys, and I'm back, and that is a perfect example of why I hate telephones. Cell phones in general, but of course that wasn't a cell phone because I don't have a cell phone. That was just my regular phone. It was my ex-wife calling me, and I didn't figure I was going to hear from her right away, so I didn't put the phone elsewhere so it wouldn't be so loud. But anyway, whatever. That's that. I wasn't going to scrap that recording because I just gone too far and said so much that I couldn't re-record it and get it all out in the same way. So we'll just have an interruption, and this will be part 2 to this vlog. So anyway, what I was saying before, and I'll have to reference again, what I was looking at. But I was responding to my friend Ron, and he said, maybe you should give that girl another shot. If she is the one for you, then why not try to talk to her and see if it will go somewhere? Then at least you can move on if it doesn't work out. So I think what I was talking about in the last video was how I had hoped, beyond hope, that was all that I had wanted back then, like 2 or 3, almost 4 years ago, was to just go. I was ready to leave this town behind. Not forever, obviously. My daughter is still here. But I was ready to move, have a change of scenery. It was going to be a total life change for me. So many things about my life were going to change. And it was going to be a struggle. But in my opinion, if the relationship was to work out, it would have been worth it in the end. Because there would have been some way to create a happy balance in all things in life. And I could have been happy for once. Because even when you have kids, even when you have obligations, you still have to be happy yourself. You have to lead and set an example for everybody in your life, including your own children. Sometimes that means going somewhere else that's far away and changing the fundamental relationship that you have with them. Seeing them less, having a different kind of visitation setup if it's a divorce setup like mine is. Sometimes that's just what has to happen. I am a firm believer that you cannot stay someplace for the sake of your kids and be miserable and expect that to be some sort of a good example for them just because you were always there for them. It's like, I don't look back at all the things that my dad did and say to myself, yeah, my dad really made all these awesome decisions that were in my benefit and made all these sacrifices for himself just for me. And that really makes me happy to know that my dad spent a lot of time not really getting to do the things in life that he wanted to do that would have made him happy in all the different ways that we can be happy. In my opinion, we all have to be happy in every way that's possible. You can't just give up your hopes and dreams because I have a kid that has to be taken care of. I'm not saying you don't take care of your kid. You do everything that you can and you still be a part of their life. But sometimes it means changing that whole fundamental thing of two parents and the kids. And even if they're divorced, if they're close by, the kids are seeing both parents on a frequent basis. That's what my daughter has for me right now. I'm here, but I'm not happy with my life. So I can't just put all that unhappiness somewhere else when she's here and be happy and all that and be an actor and be not who I am. I am who I am. I want to find things in life that I'll be happy to do, people I'll be happy with, interactions I'll be happy having. You know, whatever. I don't know how to explain it. I'm probably not explaining it right, but that's why you have people out there who, I hate to have to reference celebrities, but people who are, musicians, people who are creative, people who have that outlet in life that makes them happy, people who have those jobs that make them happy, doctors and lawyers and architects and whatever. They still have a duty. Police officers, firemen. It's a tough and rough job. It's a thankless job. But they still go out there and do it. One, because they have to have a job and bring in money and support their family. But two, there's something about that they love, that they have to do it. I don't have that in my life. I have like no passions, no relationships. I have none of that stuff. I have this stuff back here, and it's fulfilling. It's the time killer aspect of it all. I love video games and movies and all that. I wish I had the creativity to work in those businesses. I would love to be a part of the video game industry, movies or TV shows. But I'm not an actor. I don't have programming skills. I don't have any of that kind of ability. So I just want something out there in my life I can be happy about. And I guess that was a long way around what I was talking about with this comment from my friend Ron. I wanted to change the way my life was and like reinvent my entire existence. And yes, it was all pinned on a person, a human being, a relationship with a human being. Some people would say that that's bullshit to do something like that and change everything because of another person. For God's sakes, what other reason would you have in this world to do something but for another person? I wouldn't do it for a car. I wouldn't do it for a house. Those are just things. I was willing to get rid of most of my collection in order to move up there and do all this stuff because of the situation, the circumstances with her, which I'm not going to get into, but I wouldn't have had time for stuff like that. But right now, all I have time for is this because it's all that's in my life. That's why I want something now, why I would like to pursue a relationship despite the fact that life is crap for me and I'm in a really horrible hole. I'm never going to dig it out on my own. I have no incentive to. But again, I was willing to move up there and do all this just to have a chance to say, we tried, and if it didn't work out, I'd have no problem whatsoever coming back to town, coming back to where I live now, coming back to my daughter, my ex, and all of her family, all of my friends. I wouldn't have had my tail tucked between my leg. I would have had my head held up high. I would have said, I tried it, it didn't work, and that's how life is supposed to go. You take chances, they work or they don't, you move on from them. I am aware of that, but in some ways, yes, I still get hung up on it. But I'm more hung up on this whole situation now because I'll never know. We never got to find out. I never got to discover it. She never got to discover it. She's moved on. I assume she's moved on. Hopefully she's happy. I don't know. From that time that we got to reacquaint ourselves with one another, I got the idea that despite there was a lot of stuff up here, a lot of things going on with her, a lot of the worries and the stresses of life were building up, she still was such a stronger person inside than I ever will be. And I imagine that she would have moved on and that she would go forth and do her best and always try to be happy. Me, it's hard. It really, really is hard for me to do that. But anyway, the part that he said before that, maybe you should give that girl another shot, it's just not meant to be right now. I'm not going to be the one that goes back. I told her something in the summer of 2010 about how I felt about her back when we were younger and we knew each other, that I'd fallen in love with her and that I still loved her. And I don't care if anybody thinks that that's stupid. It's the way it was and is. But that's how I felt, and I just let her know. And she was in the middle of all kinds of tough, difficult situations in her life. And I wasn't trying to cause problems. I wasn't trying to say, hey, here I am, let's go for this. Because there were situations that I'm not ready to talk about right now, but maybe some point in the future. There were situations that were going on, and maybe it was inappropriate of me to say that at that time. But I didn't want to lose that chance again. We hadn't talked to each other or had any contact with each other for 16, 17 years, something like that. I mean, absolutely no idea where either one or the other person was, what their life was like, what was going on in their life, what their world, if it was good or bad, what the situation was. But I never stopped feeling that way for her. And I never thought I would ever see her again. And in there she was. And a few years later, I was no longer married. Um, so I thought, I'm going to say these things. I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to let her know what my feelings were and how I still felt. Now, obviously, I couldn't say I'm absolutely, totally, absolutely 100% in love with you. I know you. We're meant to be together. No, you have to have time to get to know each other again. And we had, 6 months through the means that we had, talking on the phone. I went up and visited her. We had what time that we had and the contact that we could have, and grew very, very close. And I thought it was going to be really, really, special, and I thought it was going to be true and forever. I mean, I know we all do, unless you're just super jaded about everybody and everything in life, in which case you got more fucked up problems than I do. I'm still a believer that when you are in love and when you are in a relationship with someone, you give everything that you have to it. And so, you think to yourself, this is forever. You can't be sitting around being like, I don't know about this. I got to think about this. I got to overanalyze. I'm the king of that. And I did some of that during that time that she and I had. There was no better example of me to learn that that's not the way to be than with this particular situation. I feel like I continue to stray away from what this was, what I was trying to talk about here. We had this thing. Like I said, I went up to visit her. She was going through a lot of things. I was going to move. I was going to try to be closer to where she was so that we could have our shot, so I could help her maybe a little bit with the things she was going through. And all of a sudden, the dawning realization was, dude, you got to get off your ass and start doing stuff to make this happen. You got to find a job or transfer in your job. I needed a better vehicle. I needed to sort through stuff, pack, be ready to go when the time had come. And I lagged on all those things. And I don't know what the reasons for. I'm not a psychologist. I can't plunder my fucking brain to figure out, what the reasons for. A lot of people will say, well, it wasn't meant to be if you didn't have the drive to make it happen. I don't believe that. I believe that my own issues are what held me back. It's very, very possible for people to have a lot of issues and a lot of problems that they have to go through. And sometimes it causes them to lose out on things that they want, things that they're meant to do. But I screwed up. I dropped the ball. And on the day before I was supposed to leave, and I wasn't even anywhere close to being ready, I freaked. And I texted her. I texted her of all things. I just texted her and said, I can't do this. I can't move. I can't go. I said I can't leave my daughter. I used my daughter as a scapegoat for I can't go. I screwed up really, really badly. And I went and got my job back and made sure that I could come back to work the next day and do all that. After people had given me a going away party and all kinds of stuff, I freaking went to the job and I was bawling to people that I worked with and to my bosses and stuff. It was a horrible time. I fumbled everything up so badly. And she was depressed, and she was hurt, like phenomenally hurt. I promised her that I wouldn't do those kinds of things to her that other people had done to her. And then I did it anyway. And then I had the gall to try to tell her just within a few months that I was wrong and I was going to move. But I felt like something was missing. I felt like the damage had been done. And so a second time, a few months later, she asked, are you still coming up? And I said, no. That's why, as far as I'm concerned, I can't go back again and say, what's going on? How you doing? Are you seeing somebody? I can't initiate this with her again the way that I've hurt her and the things that I've done. I can't. I've made it very, very difficult for her to be able to contact me, but it's still possible. She could still call me. She could still contact me. It could still be done. It's best for me to just step away and let it be and let it run its course. She found me after all those years, If it's meant to be again, if it's meant to be for her, if she's comfortable with the idea of her and I, then that'll be up to her to contact me once more. If she hates me, she has every reason to hate me, and I can't do anything about that. I can't change that. It's just something I'd have to live with. If I don't ever hear from her again, it'll hurt, but I'll just have to live with that. I can live with those things, but I can't let go for some reason right now to the feelings. And that kind of segues me to the other person who contacted me. And thanks, Ron, for, I tell you a lot, but it's not enough, it's never enough, but thank you for watching. Thank you for sending me the message and everything else that you said in it. But I want to move on to the next person because this is going to end up being super, super long if I don't watch it. So another person messaged me, and I'm not going to say this person's screen name. They sent me a personal message on YouTube, so I don't know if maybe they just didn't want it to be public to that extent. So I'm going to talk about the message. I'm just not going to say who it came from, but rest assured to you who did send me this, thank you once again for watching my video. Thank you for sending me a message, giving me a lot of stuff to think about. Honestly, some of it was stuff I had thought about. Other stuff was, yeah, you're right. It's you gave me stuff to think about, as I've said a million times now. Anyway, I'm going to kind of read this, kind of skim through it. He says, I can relate to a lot of what you said. I've been through it. Here's some advice I think you should really take in. Sorry that this may come across as harsh and bossy, etc., but I'm in a rush and don't have time to sweeten this. I'm not being a dick, just want to get in on life somewhat. First of all, I didn't take any of it as being harsh, rude, or you being a dick. I really, honestly appreciate your openness and your honesty in what you had to say. And we're going into the subject I just stopped talking about. First off, you have to move on from that girl, especially if she's moved on. You're right, you shouldn't jump into a relationship right now, but when it's time, you should bounce person to person because it's the only way to find someone. Yes, many people are just fucking until someone better comes along, but you should let that stop you from finding someone who's right for you. Now, moving on is the problem. Moving on in terms of going forth and doing something else, yes, I want to try to do that. The feelings part of moving on is really, really difficult for me, as this video, the last video, or that other vlog, as I basically kind of said, it is hard to move on. I don't know what to do to make it go away, because it's obviously not going to go away. It's been like 2.5, 3 years. If this was a situation where I'd been married to someone who died, there would probably be a lot of people by now who would be like, what's wrong with him? Why hasn't he done something different? But I have my reasons for why I haven't in this situation, which is just a relationship that didn't work out. And that's the anxiety issues and the dealing with other people and not wanting to have to play that game. I know that that's the way that you have to find someone, but why? Why does it have to be that way? Why do you have to get people's feelings involved? What if I meet somebody and they have feelings for me and I don't? Then I have to put somebody else through shit. It may be the way that it is, but it isn't fucking fair, and it's bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Hang out with your friends more. Make as many connections as you can, because it's all about connections and meeting others through them. You'll never know who you'll meet through a shit friend that you don't like or a great friend. Don't think of one person or a friend as a dead end. There's many people behind each person in their life, and when you cut people off, you're also cutting off that potential of meeting others. That's like profound, because I never really thought about things like that, but it still goes along with the anxiety issues. It's really hard for me to make friends. The friends that I do have, there's not a lot of opportunities to hang out with a lot of these people, because so many of the friends that I have are married or involved with people and have kids and have all these obligations. It's really hard to do anything beyond visiting with them at home. And where does a person go to make friends other than the places that you normally go anyway, like work? I'm not a guy who will, I don't do church. I don't do a lot of these school functions where you meet people. It all plays on my freaking anxieties that will not go away. They just don't go away. So it's hard for me to do that, even though, it's like, yeah, that's really, really amazing. But I don't have that kind of life where all my friends and stuff hang out on, at all times or even just occasionally. It's a bummer because I've had some friends that I did get to spend time with, but it just doesn't happen anymore. And if I haven't seen somebody in months, I just come out of nowhere and be like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" I don't know. To me, that just sounds really, really weird. Like, why didn't you make the effort to try to hang out before? I don't know. It's confusing and it's hard for me to deal with. But I know that's, you're right. It's how it works, and I just have to figure out how to make it work for me. Next thing he said is, you should not have disconnected yourself from that girl you mentioned. I know it's hard seeing someone you still love get on in life, but you have to accept it. Don't cut people out. It's only going to hurt you in the long run. I know, but it is hard. It's really, really hard. It's painfully hard at times to even think in those terms, let alone see it in practice. Next thing he says, I was a gamer too, still am, but I've cut it down to a point where it's not a problem. I used to play 6 to 10 hours a day. Now I only play at night for a maximum of 3 hours. I never play in the daytime nowadays. I also sold all my games except for the ones that meant something. It's hard letting go of the games, and once I did, I realized the games I kept were at the core and the rest were bullshit. Cut down to gaming and don't play in daylight. Sell the shit isn't important to you. Do some cycling or jogging at least 3 times a week. Not just for losing weight, but you'll feel better within yourself, better mindset, more confidence. Make it part of your life. Now, the first part, the gaming stuff, like I said, I can relate, although I really don't spend much time gaming anymore. I spend more time watching YouTube. As far as my collection goes, yes, there are a lot of games in this collection that don't really mean anything to me, but the collection as a whole does. The collection as a whole represents something to me because it represents a part of me. It's overdoing it, perhaps, but selling off a bunch of stuff would be a long road into depression for me. Losing any of this stuff for any reason, whether I was having to sell it to be able to eat, whether a tornado blew away my house and it was all gone, it wouldn't matter what the reasons are. It's a part of me, and if it's gone, it's like cutting off a hand or something. It would be very, very depressing. It's not something right now at this point in my life that I'm prepared to do. The cycling and jogging part, you're hitting the nail right on the head with both points. Not only would it help me lose weight and be healthy, but it would make me feel better. Because when I walked all the time, it made me feel better. It was a time for me to think about things. It was a time for me to reflect. It was a time for me to separate myself from the stress and the hard parts of life. And when I got to walk with friends, it was one of those special times that I actually got to hang out with friends and all that. So it's something that I want back. I just have to figure out how to make that one work too. The next part is food related. The main thing I would say is to make your own food. Stop getting takeaways and frozen pizzas. No doubt. Stick the microwave up your ass. I love that idea. I wish I could do that. Well, I mean, I don't mean like literally putting it in my butt. Eat slow-releasing energy foods like pasta. Anyway, look up the foods yourself, you lazy bastard. I love that line because the first thing I thought of was, God damn it, every time somebody says a certain diet type thing, I don't know where to go to find up any information. But look it up. Google. Let me Google that for you.com, right? Don't put off cooking yourself. Just get up and do it. Realize that when you put things off that you know are good for you, those are the moments or moods that are fucking your life up. Do the right thing in those moments of fear or laziness. You're right. After you've done that shit, then it's time to go on dates. Don't take them too seriously. If you click with someone and go with it, stop this bullshit about the way things are supposed to be or who I'm supposed to be with. Please stop thinking like that. Just go with what feels good to you, and if it doesn't work out after a while, then that's okay. Those are hard ones to get around. It's hard for me. I mean, I know that it's probably a dangerous thing to go into any other kind of relationship when in the back of your mind you're thinking the person I'm meant to be with is out there somewhere. It's bad. It's like shooting yourself in the foot over and over and over again. It's never going to work if you don't release that frame of mind. I know. I don't know how to make that one work. If things don't work out in a while, that's okay. Explain yourself, be friends, move on. Stop looking for this one shot where it has to be perfect and forever. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. The only mistake is living in that room for the rest of your life with no connections and letting life pass you by. Yes, you're right. I know. And Stop looking for this one shot where it has to be perfect and forever. I know, it's just that I'm fucking old, man. And 39, yeah, sure, maybe it's not that old to a lot of people, but most of the time, most people who are to 40 have kids that are grown up. They have kids that are already like in college. They're already starting their life. And I'm like the 17, 18, 19-year-old who's just starting off at 39 years old. But I know that I don't have that 20 years ahead of me that those 18, 19, 20-year-olds do. So it's really hard for me to think about spending several years bouncing around from this thing to that thing. Eventually I'm going to be 50. I'm still young enough to be able to enjoy all things about relationships. Everything. A person's company, their goals, their children if they have them, because, you know, people my age more than likely have kids. All these things. And then there's the sex. There's the going out and doing things before I get to be all old and decrepit and, you know, one of them pissy old people who just want to sit around in front of the TV on the divan. You know, I'm sorry, but I want all of it, and my time is running short. So I don't want to have a million different dates. I don't want to go through all of that bullshit. And I don't want to have to go out and meet women my age, and like I said, going to have kids, going to have all this and that, and they're going to come home and see shit like this and think I'm a total fucking loser. And I don't need that. With my anxieties, I can't go through that. I can't go through a bunch of people who are going to think I'm lame because of this. This is who I am. But I don't want to have to be put through all that crap. The looks and the comments and stuff about, this is who you are, you fucking kid, grow up. Fuck that shit. I can be whatever age I want to be and act whatever age I want to be. Because I am an adult, I have the freedom to do whatever it is that I want to do. If I could just shut that part of the brain off that makes me feel like a total asshole because of the way people judge me. Anyway, okay, wow. So the next part, first two words, accept yourself. Well, I'm trying to accept myself. I really am. Don't be afraid to take off your hat. Well, I've been doing a little bit of that. I had a similar problem. You don't need that hat. I could talk all day about our similarities and give you more advice, but I must go. Please don't think I'm being a dick to you or anything like that. You seem like a good guy, and he deserves a fucking happiness at least. Hope you reply back to me, but if you don't, I totally understand. Well, okay, let's go through that. It means a lot to me for someone to say that you see a lot of similarities and that you could give the advice because of the things you've been through. I really appreciate that, and you can message me anytime you want, however you feel like contacting me on that. I absolutely do not think you're being a dick to you, and I appreciate, you know, the sentiment that you think I'm a good guy and that I deserve the happiness. I really appreciate that. That's why I wanted to spend some time with your message in particular, because I love my friends and I love the people that I know, but you were the one person that I've never heard from you before, and I'm not saying there's anything bad about that, but I hope I will hear back from you more, comments or whatever. Thank you. And you're a really good guitar player and singer. I checked out some of your stuff and I really liked it. So anyway, to you, I didn't want to use your screen name just in case you didn't want it to be known, but I did want to share a lot, or that was pretty much everything you wrote to me in this video. And now I'm feeling very, very self-conscious about how long this is going, so I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you to all of you who had some advice, comments, encouragement, and whatnot. I have a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of stuff to work on, and hopefully some of this stuff is going to start coming together for me soon. So, thanks a lot for watching another long vlog, a two-parter even that got interrupted by a phone call or telephones, and I'll see you next time.